Well, guys, I finally did it. I think I finally broke my tractor. So I was outside mowing over the weekend, getting my lawn mowed. Started hearing some weird noises coming from my mower deck. Figured it was probably one of the spindle bearings, maybe a pulley bearing. Something was going on that I could just tell. I could tell by the way the engine was lugging down. It just wasn't sounding right. I know this machine so well. I know every little vibration it makes, and it just didn't feel right. So I mowed really quick because I just had a little bit left, and I was able to just get it done on the last pass. All of a sudden, heard some squealing, and then boom, the mower deck let out. It just completely stopped working. I looked down, the pulleys weren't spinning. I said, oh boy, what'd we break? Finally broke something. So I had my uncle actually come over here, and I had him sit on the seat, engage the PTO while I looked underneath. And I saw that the PTO shaft was spinning from the transmission to the gearbox on the mower deck, and nothing was spinning on the mower deck. So I'm pretty sure that the gearbox on the mower deck is broken. Something broke. Maybe the gear stripped out in there. Maybe it lost a bearing and it ground the gears up in there. But I'm pretty sure that the gearbox is smoked. So what we're gonna do today is I'm gonna get the mower deck pulled off the tractor. We'll get the pallet forks put on. We'll lift it up, get it up in the air. I might even put it on some jack stands. That way I could set it off to the side, because I'm gonna have to pull this whole gearbox apart depending on what I find here, and it's gonna be apart for a while I figure out what parts it needs and order the parts. So I'd like to get it maybe set up on some jack stands, maybe over here by the pallet rack out of the way. That way I can get the parts that I need, you know, and maybe the next week I can finish this video up and we can hopefully rebuild the gearbox. That's the plan. Hopefully it's something really stupid and something simple. You know, maybe it's like a shear bolt or something that broke, but I really don't think so. Because when I spin these pulleys back and forth, I was actually watching the PTO shaft, and you could see it kind of like spinning, and then it would stop, and then it would spin, and it would kind of stop. So it was kind of acting like, you know, there's missing teeth in the gearbox. So I'm pretty sure it's internal in the gearbox. I'm pretty sure the gearbox is shot. I priced them out. They're about $1,200 for a brand new gearbox. Started looking on Facebook Marketplace for a used deck. I'm thinking, heck, if I could find like a 52 or 60-inch deck, you know, I could just use that for parts, rip the gearbox off that. Because I'm pretty sure the 60-inch and the 52-inch decks share the same gearbox. Not positive on it, but I'm pretty sure. So I figured if I could pick up a used mower deck for $600, $500, even if it's in bad shape, just take the gearbox off it, swap it to my deck, and problem solved. But I called the Kubota dealer today, and I had them send me a schematic of the gearbox and the price of some of the internal gears and stuff. They offer a rebuild kit for about $600, so that's not too bad. But the thing is, I'm thinking if I don't need all the gears, maybe it's only 1 or 2 gears that are bad with a bearing, maybe I can get away with, like, you know, spending $200 rebuilding it myself, and that'll be the cheapest option. So let's take a look at this thing and see what's going on with it. Hopefully you guys were able to see what was going on under there. A little bit easier than I was, but as you've probably seen, the PTO is spinning. The PTO shaft is spinning. There's nothing wrong with the transmission itself, which I'm thankful for. Because when it first happened and I saw the deck stop working and I heard that noise, I was like, man, please don't tell me that the transmission finally went out on it. You know, I tried the rear PTO and I looked back and that was spinning just fine. I couldn't really do much by myself because with the PTO on, you can't get off the tractor or else they'll shut the tractor down for a safety feature. Now I was gonna grab a jumper pin and jump the safety switch. That way I can keep the PTO engaged while I jumped off and looked at it. But I was actually at my parents' house for Father's Day, and while I was there I was telling my uncle and my father about it, and he said he'd follow me back and sit on the seat so I could see what was going on here. So like I say, that's what's going on. So let's go ahead and rip this mower deck off and see what the damage is. Alright, so now if I spin this by hand, we should be able to tell if it's a gearbox or not. Oh yeah. You can almost feel it trying to catch, like right there. And you can see the shaft is moving. So what I was thinking, maybe there was a shear bolt or something there, which I should have known better. I knew there wasn't a shear bolt here, but, you know, wishful thinking. But you could see that the shaft itself is turning, which means that the issue is 110% inside that gearbox right there. So let's go ahead and get the loader put on the tractor. I'll stick the pallet forks on it. We'll get up underneath this. I'll get some sawhorses set up, and then that way we can work on it. Get this gearbox ripped off of here and see if we can't open it up and see what's going on inside. Get these two 42-pound weights removed. I like to keep these on there when I mow. It just keeps the whole tractor nice and well grounded, well planted. When I'm working side slopes that I have around here, it just keeps the tractor nice and planted. Now, this little weight hitch bracket, I actually built this on the channel. If you want to see that video, I'll link it right here in the top right corner. You can watch me build this. I built this a couple years ago, maybe 2-3 years ago. I use it every time I mow. It's like I say, it's really nice to keep the tractor balanced. It gives some weight up front, and I can still keep most of my weights in the back. That way I'm not removing them every time I have to mow. And it keeps the tractor well grounded, especially on them really steep slopes and inclines. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before. I think I have. No one really talks about this. I haven't really seen anybody else talking about this on YouTube. But while I put this loader back on, since I've been mowing, I had a lot of crud and stuff in these cradles where your loader sits. It's imperative, in my opinion, to throw a little bit of grease in these cradles. I don't know if anybody's doing this or anybody's really talking about it. I think I talked about it years ago, but I always put a little bit of grease on my finger and I rub it in these cradles because, believe it or not, when you're working the loader hard, your loader is rocking in these cradles and in these mounts. And if you don't have any lubrication whatsoever on these, over time you'll start hearing it knocking and squeaking. I learned this the hard way when I first got this tractor, before I was even on YouTube. And after working it for many hard hours, I started to hear different squeaking noises and knocking noises and clunking noises. And as you'll see here on the top of this cradle, you could even see where it's actually rubbed, like it's actually indented it at one point, where the actual release is for, where the actual catch is for the loader to lock it into the mounts. It's actually rubbed like a divot in the loader mount here. And that's because I never had any lube or any grease on there. And as hard as I work this loader, like I say, I think it's imperative to throw a little bit of grease in those cradle mounts. So I just greased this not too long ago, but because I've been doing a lot of mowing with it, I just got done doing that big mowing job that I do each season. It's like a 40-acre field, and it was about 4 foot high. These mounts were completely covered in grass, and the grease was pretty much completely just clumped up. So I just cleaned them back out, threw some clean grease in them. But I figured I'd mention that while I had you guys on video, because I don't think I've mentioned that in quite a while. Okay, now the cradles are all lubed up. She's ready to go to work again, which is good because I plan on removing some stumps on my property here soon. That was actually going to be my next video here coming up, is I was going to go out there and do that, and my belly mower broke. So that kind of sucks, as today I was actually expecting to remove a bunch of stumps with you guys, but instead we're going to be ripping a gearbox apart. So you guys will have to wait till the next video to see me rip out the old stump bucket again and start tearing some stumps out. Alright, so now we got on the paddle forks here. I'm not going to set it on the stands right away up on the sawhorses. I think I'm going to work on it right here first, because I'm going to have to flip it over to not only take the mower blade off of the spindle shaft, but to get to the bolts in the bottom and the top. This way I can just lift up on this deck and tip it over onto the back of my forks. I've done this a million times. It's how I clean it every year and go through it every year. The funny thing is, I went through this whole deck this year. I greased it all. I checked all the spindles, all the bearings, all the U-joints. I sharpened the blades, scraped the deck, checked the belt. I even cleaned the vent on the gearbox. The only thing I didn't do was I did not drain and change the gearbox oil, and I wish I would have, but I think I did it like a year or two ago, and I didn't think it was necessary. I figured it couldn't be that bad, but I really wish I would have. So let this be a lesson learned. Each year, it's really important. Just drain it. It's not that much oil. It's not that hard. Drain it. See what the oil looks like. And nonetheless, you know, even if you don't need it, like I say, it's not much oil, and at least you can see when the oil comes out what color it is. You can see if it's got metal in it. Because had I changed it this year, I probably would have seen that it had some metal in it, that it was pretty gray looking, and I would have known that something was going on with this. I may have been able to switch the oil out, maybe throw some Lucas gear oil in there. I might have gotten a little bit longer out of it if I would have changed the oil, but, you know, what can you do? Can't know everything. I went through everything but the gearbox itself, and yeah, it bit me finally. I've used this deck for bush hogging and brush hogging and everything you can imagine. I've hit rocks, stumps, boulders, bricks, wood chunks, I mean sticks, branches, anything you can imagine I've hit with this mower, mulched it up, and yeah, it's just been through hell, you know, over the years. I have not just used this like a mower, I use this like a brush hog. I've cleared lots of land with it, even on my own property. I've gotten stuck in the mud with it countless times where mud was caked up underneath it, and you know, I just fire it up, let the mud blow out. I'm not nice to my equipment sometimes, and you know, like I say, it finally bit me. These gearboxes, they're made for mowing, they're not made for bush hogging, but I'll tell you what, man, this little gearbox, it did a damn good job for many, many years. 6 years I've been using it like that, and it finally broke. So I can't really blame the machine, can't blame the gearbox whatsoever, but first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna rip the belt off, get that out of the way, and then we'll tip this deck up against the back of the forks here. I'll get the mower blade off the spindle, then we can start loosening these 4 bolts. There's 2 on this side and 2 on this side that'll actually hold to the deck itself. And then there's this bracket here, so 2 bolts right here for this bracket, and then 2 on this side. And then we should be able to lift this entire gearbox off and put it on a bench, open it up, and see what it looks like. Another thing I'll probably end up taking off is the PTO shaft as well, just to take it off, get it out of the way. Less dead weight, just more stuff out of the way, make it easier to work on. So let's get going on this. All right, that's good for the belt. Now let's go ahead and get this PTO shaft out of the way, just so when I'm flipping the deck up and down, I'm not getting this thing pinched. Looks like about a 14 or 15 mil. Put that bolt back in so we don't lose it. Got a 30 mil socket for the spindle nut. Hold the blades on. Okay, now I was just looking here to see if I had to hold anything with a wrench or a socket, and as you can see here, the bolts are actually recessed into the casing here, so I won't have to hold the bolts from this end so long as they don't drop down out of there. So we're just going to go ahead and flip the deck back down and try to zip these bolts out from the top side. Hopefully these will stay in place and we won't have to flip the deck back over again. Alright, so like I say, we got 2 bolts here. 2 bolts here that holds the bottom of the deck. These are all 19 mil, and we've got these 2 bracket bolts as well. We could actually take it off from either way. We don't have to take them off from the deck itself. I think I'm just going to try taking them off right here from the gearbox itself, just 1 on each side, and I think we'll be able to lift this gearbox out of there. Hopefully, we'll have to see. The pulley might get hung up on something. We'll just have to see. So let's just start with these 2 and these 2 on each side, and we'll see if we can lift it up out of there. And now we can see if this gearbox is going to lift out. I am not too sure, to be honest with you, if the pulley's going to stay on the deck itself or how this works. Let me grab a pry bar and see if I can get that pried off of there. I'm not sure if that shaft is pressed onto this pulley and if this pulley is going to come out with the machine or not. I think we might actually have to take these bolts out as well. Let's give that a shot. Let's see what happens. I'll take these bolts out as well, and we'll see if the whole thing will come out that way. Because it seems like that's connected through the back side of the deck with this pulley and that aluminum mount that's on the back side of the deck. So let's just see what that does. It's a nut and a lock washer on each one of these studs. Alright, now we can see what's going to happen here. That bracket out of the way. So we got the one bracket out of the way. This one should come out of the way as well now. It's a little bit stuck, but yeah, I think this will come right out now. Get two hands on it. I think I can pull it out. Might be stuck on this other bracket here. Get that out of the way. As you can see, this was the bracket that actually has a grease fitting on it. That greases the spindle. Basically the grease goes in there, comes out the bottom here, and that'll go in and grease the spindle bearing itself. That's how you grease the center spindle. Alright, so now let's see what we're stuck on. So my thinking is either this shaft needs to get pulled out of this pulley or pressed out of this pulley, or we need to pull this bracket off the back side of the mower deck. Maybe it's pressed on there, and then once we do that, I think we'll be able to pull this whole entire gearbox right off of there. So yeah, let's flip it over and see. We're basically just stuck on the shaft, so there might be a C-clip or something here. Yep. So there's actually a C-clip. So once I take that C-clip off, we'll be able to pull that pump right off. Yep, so there's actually a C-clip on here. I don't know how well you guys can see it, but there's a C-clip right here. So once we pull that C-clip off, we should be able to pull the gearbox right up and off of the deck. Here's the C-clip. There it goes. Okay, so we got it loose now. So let me flip it back over and we'll be able to lift that gearbox right up out of there. There you go, guys. Not too bad, not too bad at all. We'll get this on the bench and we'll see if we can take this thing more apart, see exactly what broke, what gears are locked up or what gears are split and stripped out in this thing. Here's the part we were messing with on the bottom side. This is where we took the C-clip off from and we were able to slide the shaft out of it and pull the gearbox out. There's actually a seal here as well on the top side of this that fell out when this hit the floor. I'm going to be replacing all these seals anyway, but this seal goes in the top of this. Actually doesn't look bad. I think it just kind of fell out when it hit the floor. But this is basically like a carrier mount for that gearbox itself, but it's got like a bearing in there as well, some bushings and a bearing, and it's splined right here for that bearing on the inside. All right, well, that was the first time taking the gearbox off the mower deck. Never took one off a BX mower deck before. Honestly, it wasn't bad at all. I don't even think I had to take off these two brackets here on the sides that held that metal plate on the bottom, that aluminum mount. I think all I had to do was take the snap ring off. Remember when I had it rocking and kind of loose, but it wouldn't come out yet? I think all I had to do was flip it over and pull that snap ring off, and then I think I would have been able to lift that gearbox right up and out of there. So for next time, or for anyone else doing this, now you know, I would start with just 2 bolts on each side, flip it over, take your blade off, take the snap ring off, and then see if you can just lift that pump right up out of there. It should come right up out. So now that we're done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and just shift this tractor with the mower deck on it. I'm just gonna put it over to the side so it's out of my way. I can move this around any time. I was gonna put it on sawhorses, but I don't think I'm gonna do that until I'm ready to reinstall it. And honestly, when I reinstall it, I'll probably just use it on the pallet forks again, because then I can get it to the height that I wanna work at. And like I say, it's nice and easy. I could tip the deck up, lean it against the back of the forks to flip it over and get to both sides of it. So when I go to reinstall this pump, I'll probably be doing it the same way. So I might just kick this outside for now, get my tractor parked, and then we'll see if we can take a deeper dive on this pump here and see if we can get into it a little deeper and see what's wrong with it. Alright guys, so we got the pump out here on the bench. Just to go over real quick for anyone who's pulling this pump off their Kubota BX mower deck, I would suggest leaving this bracket on, the brackets on each side. This is the bracket with the grease fitting I was showing you guys. This goes on here. This piece here is your spindle bearing. This is on the back side of the deck, as you guys seen. I pulled it off the back side. And then you got one more bracket here, which is this orange one. And that goes right there. So what I would suggest doing is leaving all that on and just unbolting it like I first tried from here and here, which I'll unbolt it from this side of the pump and this side of the pump. I keep calling it a pump, the gearbox. So each side of the gearbox, that'll unbolt that. And the reason it wasn't coming out was because of that snap ring. So you'll want to flip the deck over, pull that snap ring, and then you will be able to lift the pump right out, and you'll be able to leave all this in place on the mower deck. Not a big deal. This way I can get in here, I can clean, I can check this bearing, I can check this seal, I can kind of go through all this. It's pretty nasty and scummy. These O-rings are nasty, so I'll clean it all up, or maybe even replace it when I put it all back together. But I just want to make that clear for anyone who is pulling that off and doing this job themselves as well. So now that I have this thing on the bench, after looking at it, it is a sealed unit like I thought it was, which is going to make it very difficult to rebuild it because you can't really get into this unit. So the only way into this unit is this big top cover seal, which many BX owners know. This seal ends up leaking sometimes. Mine is still the original seal. And as you'll see, it's pretty dry rotted, but I've never replaced it because it's never leaked. But this is a common seal that'll leak sometimes on a lawnmower deck for a Kubota BX. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop that seal off, because that's the only way I see gaining access to this pump. We'll drain the fluid out, we'll pop this seal out, and then we'll take a look inside and see what we can find. The only other thing that really comes off of this pump itself is this pulley assembly here. And this pulley assembly is on with a keyway. As you can see, there's a keyway right there. And this is like pressed on, so I would need to get a puller and pull this pulley off. But that's really not going to gain me access to anything in the pump currently. I might need to do that if I rebuild it, but for now I'm just going to leave that be and not take it off if I don't have to. So our next move here is going to be to pop the seal off, drain the fluid, see what's in there, and see what we find. So hopefully we can pop this open and see what the heck's going on in there. Maybe the damage won't be as bad as I think it's going to be. Maybe it's just a, maybe something sheared in there. Maybe there's a bolt or a pin or something that came loose in there that we can repair quite easily. But I have a feeling all the teeth are probably cooked in here, and it's probably going to need all new gears. We'll have to figure out from there if it's worth me rebuilding it, or if I'm going to just look for a whole new pump or a used remanufactured one and just throw that back in. So let's pop the seal off, let's drain the fluid, and we'll go from there. All right, so I'm just going to zip off the drain bolt here. And and then we're going to drain it through the fill port. I should have said the fill port. This is the fill port plug. I'm going to drain it using this fill port plug. It's the easiest way. That ain't good. There's your issue. There ain't no oil in the damn thing. That's crazy to me. Wow. Well, I think we figured out our problem and why the pump went. There wasn't any oil in it. So apparently within the last year that I changed the fluid on this thing, it somehow all leaked out without me knowing it. That's crazy to me because I don't understand how that can happen. Like, how can I not see the fluid leaking out? The only thing I could think is it was leaking. I mean, this pump isn't even oily. I mean, look at it. There's no oil on this pump. It's dry. Maybe it burned all the oil up. Man, that was not what I was expecting to find at all. That really explains it, though. I mean, unless it was getting so hot that it was actually cooking and evaporating the oil inside. That's really strange. So like I said, I look at my machine all the time. It never leaks. It never drips a drop. I've never seen any oil on my mower deck. Like I said, none of my seals have ever leaked. I did the oil change on this on camera a couple years ago, and then I had done it again like a year after that. That's why I didn't feel like I had to do it this year. And now I'm really wishing I would have, because maybe it was low on oil. Maybe it was evaporating or somehow slowly seeping out. Maybe this bottom seal here in between the gear case and the pulley. But like I said, it's not super oily or anything. I mean, you see some dust and stuff from grease, but I mean, this is just like dry dust. There's nothing wet on this gearbox at all. So that's really strange to me that there's absolutely no oil in this thing, but that's definitely what cooked it, and that's absolutely why it's garbage now. So again, let it be a lesson to you guys. Every single year, check your fluid. Check your fluid in your gearboxes every single year. Don't be like me and think, well, I checked it last year, it was fine, it came out clean, I changed it, it should be all set this year. Check it every single year, especially if you're working it hard like I do. I use my mower a lot in the summertime. I do a lot of mowing jobs, I do field jobs, I bush hog with it, I go to the woods with it and bushwhack, I use it like a brush hog, and I do my whole 2-acre lawn myself that's actually cleared of land. So I mow about 2 acres, I own about 3, so it does a lot of mowing, and maybe it overheated, maybe it cooked the oil out, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is there's no oil in it, and I guarantee you that's what ruined this gearbox. So now that we know there ain't no oil in it, let's go ahead and rip the seal off and we'll see what the heck we see inside. Guess I don't need this drain pan. So I'm going to attempt to get underneath the seal with this flathead and a hammer. I don't care if I destroy it because it's going to be getting replaced anyway if I end up rebuilding this. Just in case there is oil in it, I want to be a little bit careful here. I don't think there is. Oh no, it's bone dry. See all the metal shavings on this? Look at that. Look at all that metal. This gearbox is smoked. It's 110% cooked. There isn't an ounce of oil in this gearbox. You can see here all the pinion teeth, they're completely cooked. Let me see if I can get you guys a light. Okay, so now I got a light, and as you can see here, the teeth on the pinion are completely gone. Now, there's nothing left of them. Both gears in there are completely cooked. I mean, maybe it's rebuildable. I don't see why it wouldn't be rebuildable, honestly. The fact of the matter is I got to see if I want to put the time and effort into rebuilding this. It actually doesn't look as complicated on the inside as I thought it was going to be. It's going to definitely need to be flushed out and cleaned out very, very well. Obviously, before I put the new parts in, I see a ton of metal on the inside here. You can see it all sitting on the bottom there. So that's all the teeth from all the gears, and it's just completely cooked. So I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what parts I need. I'm going to look them up. I'm going to order the parts if that's the route I'm going to take. And once I get all the parts ordered, I'll let you guys know what I ordered. And then we will finish removing the rest of these parts and rebuilding this pump on camera. And then we will put it back in, install it, and give it a try. Hopefully we can get it going again. I'm sure we will. If not, I'll keep my eye out for, like I said, a good reman one or a used one. Maybe somebody will be selling an old mower deck on Marketplace, I can get for a good deal and take the gearbox off of that and throw it on my deck. Because there's nothing else wrong with my deck. It's in perfect shape. I just put a couple new blades on it this year, and like I said, all the rest of the spindles and bearings were good. I check it over very good every year. I pride myself in maintaining my tractor, and this is just something I miss, guys. I never checked the gearbox oil this year. I didn't think I had to. I said to myself, it's good. I just checked it last year. It was totally clean, filled it up, and now somehow this year there's not a drop of oil in it. So I don't know what exactly went wrong, what happened. Like I said, maybe it was getting hot and it was cooking oil out of it. Maybe there was such a small leak somewhere that I never saw it. But as I said, guys, you could tell this thing wasn't pissing oil everywhere. I mean, it's not like it's soaked in oil, you know, unless it had leaked out so long ago. I mean, it looks like this seal could have been leaking a little bit. But I never seen a drop on my mower deck or anything. But then again, you know, if you're mowing in dusty conditions, which I have sandy loam soil here, so whenever I mow, it's always like a dust bowl when I mow. So maybe if there was any oil seeping out, it was always getting covered up by this dust, and it was soaking it up, and you know, it was kind of acting like that kitty litter you throw on the floor to dry up oil spills. And maybe it was just kind of soaking it up, and that's why I never realized I had a leak here. But obviously one of these seals had to either be leaking, or this gearbox had gotten so hot at some point that it started cooking the oil. If I had to bet, I would say it probably was slowly leaking, and all the dust and stuff getting on it was basically soaking up the oil, and I never saw the leak. I never noticed it, and because I didn't check my gearbox oil this year, I now have a destroyed gearbox. So let that be a lesson to you guys. Change your gearbox oil every year. At the very least, check it, pull the plug. You know, the only way you can check these, you got to pull this plug on the side here, this one right here, and when you pull this plug, oil should come out. If oil doesn't come out, you want to add oil through this top fill port here until you start seeing oil come out this top plug here. That's how you check it. So all I had to do this year was pull that plug and see if there was oil that came out. Had I done that, I would have seen it was empty. I could have topped it off, and I would have saved myself anywhere between $200 and $1,200. So big costly mistake. Not the tractor's fault. I completely blame myself for this one. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna wrap this video up. I don't know if I will post this one independently or if I will make a separate video rebuilding this pump with you guys or putting it back together or whatever. I may post this video and then do like a part 2. So stay tuned. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe as always. We'll see you guys in the next one.